So I'm heading out and I'm hoping to get out before the traffic, and I'm going to go do the whole loop around Central Park. And so let's go on my bike. Okay, we are in Central Park, Saturday morning. Big skyscrapers. There's this wonderful word in German which translates to cloud scratchers. I can't remember what it is in German. But do you see the trees all turning? Isn't that pretty? I'm gonna get on my bike and I'll stop along the way to show you different places, little spots. I'm usually on foot and walking. There's a whole interior in the park that I don't think I can go into with my bike, but we'll see. Here's my trusty bike. Look at those colors. They're beautiful. So I have to dismount to go inside the park once I'm off the bike lane, but I just wanted to show you. So I'm looking west, and that stretch of lawn is called Sheep's Meadow. In the summer it's filled with people, well, non-pandemic days, but even now filled with people. New York city has less than 1% infection rate, so we're doing something right. This right here is one of the big entrances for the park, and sorry, bud. You can see the trees, and there are two main paths that diverge here. And they lead down, if we follow one of them, they'll lead down to, I believe, Delacorte Square, where there's a fountain and the lake where people go boating. But this is just such a beautiful little spot and promenade. I'll just show you. I'll have to get the figures on how big this park is, but it is pretty huge. Isn't that pretty? Very European looking to me. I always love that about Central Park. We've got these statues along the way. So Robert Burns with his quill in hand. Scottish national poet, Walter Scott. And you can see that there are more statues flanking either side of the promenade ahead. I'm going to get back on my bike. I'm now facing east as the sun is coming up. This is facing south. Isn't it beautiful, those trees? That's Shakespeare. Erected by the citizens of New York, 1864. The 300th anniversary of the birth of Shakespeare. So there he is. Okay, go back, get on my bike, we'll keep going. Just wanted to show you the tree here. Look at the little squirrel. Do you see him? These squirrels are so not afraid of humans. They're so used to us, and people feed them. I was one time sitting on one of these benches with my husband. We were just chatting, and a squirrel, just like this little guy, is literally, 5 feet from me, 4 feet, jumped into my lap. I screamed and shot up like I'd been shot out of a cannon. I am not kidding. I had no idea what it was. And then he went scurrying off when I didn't feed him. But look at these last little gasps of flowers. And there's that beautiful red tree. Okay, so here we are at the other end of that promenade that I filmed before earlier. There's another path where you go all the way to the northernmost part of the park, and then there's this path for bikers and people walking and jogging that kind of cuts in half. And here we are at the lake. That's where people rent rowboats. And there's the fountain. When it's turned on, it's really pretty. We're facing west here, and there's still some flowers and planters. I don't know if you can see, but there's a couple down here, and it's their wedding. She had on a wedding dress, and she's taken it off. She literally just took it off. I guess that's her slip, I'm not sure. And he's put a sweater on, and they're posing, and there's the photographer. People get married in this park all the time. It is hugely popular for couples getting married. I wish I'd shown you her when she had her wedding dress on. And I missed her taking it off, which must have been quite interesting. So we're at the northernmost part of the park. Little lake, some big apartment buildings. And we kind of whipped past the Upper East Side where there's some really beautiful old mansions, and they're architecturally pretty incredible as well. But I kept looking for a place to pull over, and there's a little incline there, so I was really having to push hard through that area, and then I hit a downward part where I had some real momentum going and didn't want to stop. So that's what happened there. But lots of people are out and about. It's about 8 in the morning. A lot of bicyclists. Isn't it pretty though? Look at the trees all changing color. I also whipped by the reservoir. I'll try to stop on the way on the west side as I head back south if I can. So we're right near West 100th Street, and it's looking south, it's looking east, and there's a little pond right here, little pond. You can just barely see it through the trees. You can see the trees reflected in the water. And I just went, there's a little incline here, I just biked up, and now I'm gonna keep going, heading south. So this is the other side of Sheep's Meadow, and here we are heading north to west. And then we are south, and then lots of statues in the park. This is the west side, called the Upper West Side. And over there is Tavern on the Green. It was famous in its heyday. I don't even know what it is anymore. Maybe it's still Tavern on the Green. But I have to get back home, so I'm gonna shoot down 7th Avenue. And as we live downtown, I've got a little ways to go, so. There are lots of little bridge walkways in the park with these huge stone rocks. It's a baseball field there. And here on the west side, when I was at Parsons, I lived on the Upper West Side with my 2 roommates in a 1-bedroom and a Doberman. The Doberman's name was Lola. My roommates Lizzie Rue and Scarlett from Louisville, Kentucky. And me. And we lived up there, and Lizzie and I would run in the park around the reservoir usually. But then later, when I met my friend Bobby, who was dating a guy that I knew at Parsons, and I used to dog sit his dog. He lived across the street from us on the Upper West Side. We're 8+ million people, and this is how small of a little community it is in some ways. In any case, we would get on our rollerblades and shoot down. There's some little hills, but you can get some good speed. Shoot down this drive here where you see all these people biking, running, and walking without a helmet, no pads, and we would just cruise. And I remember thinking, if I crash, I'm dead. But we were young and foolish. It's the kind of thing you do when you're young and foolish. Now I'm like, riding a bike, and I've got full helmet, gear, the whole bit. But when I was at Parsons, my bike, I rode everywhere. It was my form of transportation. I even rode in a blizzard one day up to the Metropolitan Museum where I had a class. I rode that thing everywhere. Loved that bike. Okay, homeward bound. I had to show you 54th Street. So that's heading east, and there's 42nd downtown, and there we are going west. And Studio 54 was just down, when it was a nightclub, was just down there. And we used to go dancing there way back in the day. Oh my gosh, the memories. All right, I will take another shot of Times Square when I get there. I don't know if you can see that neon sign, but it's flashing. Well, now it's I with a heart, Times Square. But then it says, "Welcome to Times Square," which is just ahead. I just have to point out, so we've got the M&M shop here on the corner. Krispy Kreme, in case that didn't do it for you. This is kind of a tourist mecca, and of course with Broadway closed, not so much. We don't have a lot of tourists in town. Also, if you're coming from anywhere else in the US, you have to quarantine before you can come into the city. for 2 weeks. I'll tape again when we're a little bit closer. I think I have to get myself a GoPro or something. So here we are. 42nd Street is just a block and a half away. And this is Good Morning America. This is where Broadway and 7th Avenue diverge. Here we are, Times Square. Here we are heading south. And I don't know if you noticed, but the bike lane is all but gone. In fact, it is gone. But up in the 50s, it was so pretty, wasn't it? That's how New York is. It goes block to block. Some boarded up stores, which is for artists, a canvas, a blank canvas. How awesome is that? I love it.